The next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, we get going live today on a Monday morning. Different setting today because of the winter storm, though I'm not sure there's any travel issues, major ones in our area. I really haven't checked this morning, Brownie, but because of some home child care and staffing and all of that, it became obvious and probably pretty important that we did this remotely today. Not because the Rams lost, but LT will join us coming up a little bit later on from Seattle. Charles Bediako played and Alabama lost. Stephen Pearl and Auburn gets a signature win on the road at Florida. Stephen Pearl joining the show today, Brownie. Is that true?
Yeah, in about 10 minutes. Scheduled to appear in 10 minutes, assuming there were no travel issues. I haven't heard any down in Auburn. I don't think it affected there.
In about 10 minutes, Seahawks and Patriots win. They're on their way to the Super Bowl. Before Stephen gets here, I was in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama-Tennessee game. Charles Bediako played. Truthfully, I didn't think he'd play 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't. Even when I went to the arena, I was still like, "Is he really going to play?" Is he really going to play? And when I got there early. I didn't go in, was not allowed to go into the arena yet. I guess because I've never been there that early before. And probably they were working out Charles Bediako, teaching him plays and stuff on the court. And then when the media went in about 2 hours and 45 minutes, Bediako came out. Wasn't the first one on the floor. He was out a little later than everybody else. He did some practice and stuff. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks. Um, he was a better offensive contributor than I remember him last time around, and they needed him, but they still lost the game. Brownie, your initial thought on Alabama playing Bediako and losing the game?
Well, I mean, my initial thought is Rick Barnes in Tennessee own Alabama. It's 5 straight, with or without Bediako. That has become a really, really difficult game for Alabama. I don't know what it is about Tennessee that they present Alabama that makes them so difficult, but the Crimson Tide just cannot get over that Tennessee hump. And they didn't do it Saturday. Now, look, obviously they're playing without Amari Allen and Aiden Holloway. Certainly, it's a different game with those guys. Does Alabama win? I mean, I think most people would say yes. Who knows? You never know how that's going to go. But, you got to credit Tennessee for coming in with the win. And at least, as Rick Barnes said, he just didn't let any of that stuff factor in. He was just basically like, we're going to go play the game. We're going to play whatever 5 they put out there, we'll play, and we'll play our game. And that was probably the best approach. Don't let it get in your team's head. So you got to credit him. I will say big picture, and I'm curious if you agree with me on this, as bad, you didn't want to lose to Tennessee. You certainly didn't want to lose in that situation because now you already had a target on your back, and that made it a bigger target. But long run, I think you see when this team, if they can ever get whole, which has been a problem for Alabama all year, it is a different team with Bediako in there. I think you saw at least enough to see what he could do if you have Amari Allen and Aiden Holloway out there with him.
Yeah, but Aiden Sherrill was in foul trouble, so he only had 6 points and 4 rebounds. So, I don't think you got to see Alabama inside with their full strength. Boy, they need Bediako because Williamson and Taylor Bowen, whomever you go down the list, they just haven't panned out the way Nate Oates and the coaching staff thought they were going to. Court case coming up on Tuesday, where most people believe that Alabama will win that court case and Bediako will stay eligible, much to the dismay of a number of college coaches around the country, including Todd Golden, who basically guaranteed a victory over Alabama with Bediako or without Bediako. Alabama gets Missouri Tuesday at home, and then on Sunday on ABC, Alabama at Florida. So it'll be a fun week of SEC basketball for Alabama. Really good Missouri team at Coleman Coliseum, and then they go to Florida to play the defending national champs. Stephen Pearl will join us momentarily. Auburn goes in and gets what Stephen calls the best road win maybe in program history. They hadn't won in Gainesville since the mid-90s. Since you could listen to great Little Affair radio or Pearl Jam's new hits. I mean, the music was different back in the 90s, and that was the last time Auburn won in Gainesville. And I'll be honest, when they were going down there, I was like, well, this is, Florida's playing really good right now. I didn't think Auburn could win the game. And they went in, not only did they win the game, they crashed the boards. They beat them in the paint. They out-hustled them. They were more physical. They held Condon to where he was nothing in that game. And it was the best win of the year for the Auburn Tigers and one of the best in the SEC this season.
There's no doubt. I mean, you go to Florida and win. We had gotten to the point of the season where everyone had crowned Florida the best team in the SEC. Ignore Texas A&M's record and their lead in the SEC. Florida is the best team in the SEC. And I think that was, nothing is universal anymore, but that was about as close to universal as you get. Everybody felt that was the best team in the SEC. That is historically a difficult place to play. It's certainly for Auburn. As you mentioned, they go down there every other year. I guess there have been times where they went down there in consecutive years in the old schedule, right? But they haven't won there since the 90s. Cliff Ellis was the coach. Jim, Cliff Ellis. I mean, how long ago does it seem that Cliff Ellis was the coach at Auburn?
Exactly.
And he was the coach last time they had won down there. So that had in a lot of ways been a house of horrors for Auburn, as it has been for many teams. So everything was stacked against them. But, you jump out, I think the early lead was 16-5, if memory serves. I don't have the runs in front of me here, but I think they were up 16-5, and you're like, okay, all right. And then they just kind of kept that arm's length the entire first half. And once they got it into halftime, you thought, all right, that's one half of basketball. Now, the start of this second half is going to tell the tale. And for a little bit, I don't know about you, but I thought it did. When Florida came back and tied it, I think you were I think you were right around the 8-minute, the under 8 media timeout or something like that, when it finally got tied. And I'm like, this is a bad recipe right here. You've let Florida all the way back in this game, the crowd all the way back in this game. Your team, are they going to melt or not? And to Auburn's credit and Stephen Pearl's credit, that team did not melt. They came back out and regained the lead and never looked back.
We will talk to Stephen Pearl momentarily here in our opening segment. When we do these remote shows, they're commercial free, except for our live in-show sponsors. So this part of the show being brought to you by our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing, Greg from Pell City. The cold weather, the storm that has impacted so many people around the country. When you have storm damage, remember the name Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing, stormrestorationroofing.com. Central Alabama's most trusted name, Greg from Pell City, his wife Andrea, they've been doing this work for over 20 years locally owned. Honest guy, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Several things he has for you. First, a free no-cost roof inspection. He'll get on that roof and let you know if your roof is aging, if you got loose shingles, some water entry points, some cracks, anything up there. He'll give you a free no-cost roof inspection. He handles storm damage, roof replacements. He's a restoration specialist, but right now he's got the soft wash program. If you're putting your house on the market or you just want it to look better, you can get the soft wash program, and that would help you out. That phone number, 205-542-3531. 542-3531, stormrestorationroofing.com, or Greg from Pell City there on Facebook, and our friends at Bojangles Brownie.
Yeah, you can make a bow chime at Bojangles today, assuming, you're in a place where the Bojangles are open. Give some patience there. A lot of businesses are closed because of the ice and the cold weather and all those things. But Bojangles right there with that chicken rice bowl. When it's cold like it is, boy, that sounds like a great hearty meal. It is anytime. Starts with that hearty scoop of dirty rice, a spoonful of slow-cooked Cajun pintos, a layer of melty cheese. Finally, your choice of chicken right there on top. It is hot. It is hearty. It is all yours for just $7.49. Don't wait too long. The bowl is only back for a limited time. So if you're hungry, you know where to go. The drive-thru is always open, and you can make it bow time.
All right. Stephen Pearl in a moment. We will also have Lance join us a little bit later on as we talk about what we saw yesterday with the Seahawks beating the Rams 31-27 and New England beating Denver 10-7 to set up a Super Bowl, which will have the Seahawks opening up as a 4.5-point favorite against New England. It's the 12th Super Bowl that the New England Patriots have played in, by far more than anybody else. And the Seahawks are back in the playoffs again. Brownie, do you know what the Seahawks and the Patriots have in common?
Oh, that's a great question.
Neither one of them have had dinner in your kitchen.
Neither one of them have had dinner in my kitchen. I don't know what they have in common.
Neither one of them made the postseason last year.
Wow. It just shows, right?
And now they're back, and they've gone to the Super Bowl with impressive wins. And we'll break those games down for you a little bit later on. But it's interesting to see the Seahawks and the Patriots there for two young coaches, or two guys young in their tenure. Mike Vrabel a little older now, but first year back with New England. Drake May will now take on Sam Darnold as a quarterback matchup. So that'll be interesting in the Super Bowl coming up in 2 weeks. And as we keep our focus on what's going on in college basketball and a lot of the country talking the Charles Bediako case, I will also point out that we do have some football news, and we'll update you coming up a little bit later on what's going on in college football and the portal as well. But just a good weekend in the SEC.
Yep. It was, and part of that was Auburn's win at Florida, and their head coach, Stephen Pearl, joins us now. Welcome in, Coach. Congrats on the win. How are you today?
Doing well, fellas. How you guys?
Doing great. As you can see, we are not in our normal studio. A little ice and cold up here in Birmingham today, so we chose to do this one from the basement.
Yeah, this is the second time I've been on when you guys have decided to get soft and not go test the roads out there. So
Yeah.
must be
It's an
that
eight
Prius
minute
that you
drive.
drive around, Jim.
8 minute drive for me. It's an 8 minute
Eight?
drive. I think it's all downhill too. So I
That's
definitely
right.
could make
That's
it.
the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen, you said maybe the best road win in program history when you think that you haven't won in that place since the 90s when I had hair and was a young sportscaster in this world. That says a lot, but full disclosure, I'm one of those guys that going into a week, I'm like, okay, I know you can't do this, but I go, okay, here's an L, here's a W. And I put this down as an L for you guys. I didn't think the way Florida was playing, the way things was, that team looked really good. They were starting to look national championship good again. And you went in there and you beat them at their game. You crashed the boards. You beat them in the paint. You took Condon out of the game. Defensively, what did you see and what did your guys do to beat Florida basically at their own game?
Yeah, we talked about just we had to make them settle for jump shots. While they've shown the ability to make them, they've also shown a better ability of just dominating teams on the inside. So for us, it was all about trying to keep them outside of 10 feet and make them settle for jumpers. And we just went under DHOs, we went under ball screens, and we plugged the paint, and we really tried to sell out and just make them shoot threes. Every time the ball went to the post, we went and dug at the ball and tried to just disrupt it and just have active hands. Then obviously every time a shot went up, all 5 guys had to go check out. And we did some things that we hadn't really done before, but our guys did a really good job of executing it. And I think we just while that's their game and they're really good at it, and they're probably one of the best in the country at it, like we've been pretty good at that too, as far as just attacking the rim and getting to the foul line. And while they're the best rebounding team in our league, we're the second best rebounding team in the league. So we didn't want to shy away from what we did well, or what we do well. We did that when we played against Michigan. We did that when we played against Arizona. We did that when we played against Purdue. We didn't stick to what we were really good at, and we decided, listen, the only way that we can compete with a team like Florida on the road is if we go out there and just do everything that we've done well over these last couple of weeks. And major credit to our guys for being able to go out there and execute it at a high level.
I think you said, Coach, it was the under 8 where you told your team, all right, by the next media timeout, we want this to be at 5. Well, let's have a 5-point lead. And I think it was 6 at the next media timeout, so mission accomplished there. But when you looked in your team's eyes, when you broke that huddle, you're like, yeah, at that next media timeout, we're going to be up. Did you see the confidence that they played with after that?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of panic in there. They were still communicating with each other, and there's a difference between communicating and constructively communicating. And I thought there was good dialogue in there when we were, when it got tight. And I just continue to say to them, like, listen, we're tied with 7 minutes to go on the road at Florida. If I told you that an hour and a half ago, would you have taken it? And they're like, absolutely. So they knew that they were in a good spot. The biggest thing that we had to do was, we had to stop doing the things, that we're kind of beating ourselves to allow them to get back into the game. And I thought in the last 8 minutes, we did a great job of that. So let's be up 5, and we were up 4 in the next media, and Phillip had 2 free throws, and Phillip goes out there and just makes 2 of his biggest free throws of the year to put us up 6 and give us a little bit of separation. So our guys did a good job of just kind of staying together, staying connected, continue to trust the things that, we had been doing pretty well for most of the game. And, we were able, that our team, like I said, our team 3 weeks ago does not win that game. We fold and we lose by 10, it's just that our team didn't break. And, I think, they've just they've stayed together through some difficult losses, and they really drew from some of the wins that we've had recently to be able to find a way to, like I said, I really think that was probably our best road win since we've been at Auburn, and we've had some really, I mean, that road win is better than us going to Tuscaloosa last year 1-2, just because we were supposed to win that game. Like we were not supposed to win on Saturday. We were 11-point dogs, I think, and we won by 9 points. So our guys did a great job of just locking in and beating a great team.
I watched you control the game against Houston, to your point, and then you don't get the win at the end. But you've beaten Florida now in a true road game. You've beaten St. John's. You've beaten a really good Arkansas team with one of the better players in the SEC and A-Cup. the resume is starting to stack up really good. And your team is so talented, including Keyshawn Hall, who we'll talk about in a second. Is there something to be said that with so many new parts that it is taking a little bit longer for this team to gel together than, say, last year's team, and that maybe your best basketball is still ahead of you?
I mean, that's the plan. We've talked about all year, like having 10 new guys, one returner who's a sophomore, and 9 underclassmen on this roster. Like the whole mission this entire year is just about been trying to get better and trying to improve as the year goes on, not getting too high, not getting too low. And, I think our guys have done a pretty good job of that up to this point. Early in last year, the biggest difference, Jim, is like we knew what our rotations were like when the year started. Like everyone knew what their role was and what they had to do in order for us to win. Like we're still figuring out and defining roles right now. You look at Filip Jovic and his emergence. Keyshawn Murphy's finally healthy, right? Elijah Freeman coming off the bench and just giving us an unbelievable boost and an unbelievable spark. So as the year's gone on, like we're still figuring stuff out. So if we can continue to stay consistent with what we've been doing every single day in practice, what we've been doing every single day in film study, and not getting too high, with the results that we're having, this team could, find a way to play its best basketball over these next couple of weeks, as long as we stay consistent and we stay hungry, because this team's kind of played desperate over the last couple of weeks, and we can't lose sight of that. If we lose sight of that, then Texas is going to come in here and beat us on Wednesday. So we got to stay desperate, and then we got to keep playing with our backs against the wall.
And I would guess some of that, because some of these are new parts, is guys figuring out how to coach guys. Like it seems like you can coach Todd Pettiford hard. Like you put him on the bench some. He came off the bench, and it seems like he's responded to that. So, but you knew that, right? You knew how you could coach him. It would seem like some of these new guys, it is a learning process. Can I coach this guy as hard as I can this other guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of trial by fire with some of these guys. You'll find out pretty quickly how they respond to things. But they know who I am. They know I'm really going to coach them hard when it comes to effort and energy and just small discipline things. And Todd's a perfect example of a guy that analytically hasn't had the best offensive season so far this year, but he's found a way to impact games in other ways. And I thought, the Ole Miss game was probably the best I've seen from him as a floor general since he's been here, just as far as managing the game. And, while he had some bad turnovers in the Florida game, he hit the 2 biggest shots of the game, when we really needed it to get us up 4. And when we were kind of struggling to find offense, he goes out there and creates it. And, he's continuing to grow. He's continuing to find ways to be effective when his shots aren't going down. And, he's going to start making shots here pretty soon. And when he does, it's going to really help us. But if we're 13-7, and if you look at his percentages, I would have said we're going to be 7-13 if he's shooting that. You know what I mean? So yeah. He's found ways to be more productive defensively. He's looking to facilitate the ball more. And, he's just done a good job of just, putting up with me as we're working our way through the season.
Speaking of you, and I know you hate to make it about you, but when Taylor Bryant sends and the fine folks and Ted Feely and all, and Kirk and the guys send out the Stephen Pearl is now 5-3 versus Final Four coaches. I mean, I've seen the games. It didn't dawn on me that you had already beaten Patino, Calipari, Altman, Beard, and now Todd Golden. Dang, man, you're on a roll. That's a pretty good first year.
I haven't beaten anyone. My staff has beaten, 5 coaches that have coached in Final Fours, and my team has beaten 5 teams that are coached by Final Four coaches. So, I haven't done anything. I'm, just proud that our guys have stayed locked in and dialed and, bought into what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. And if we can continue to do that, I think we got to play 4 more as the year goes on. So, we, don't have time to, feel good about what we've done so far. We still got a lot of ground we got to make up in this league. And we just got to continue. It starts today. It starts today in practice. It starts today in our individual film meetings. And, just trying to continue to, build on it and stay connected.
Go ahead, Jim. You got one more?
Speaking of the league, last year was such a record number of teams and high seeds, and Florida wins it all. You guys, I think if you beat Florida, y'all win it all. I think the best two teams in the country were in the SEC last year. And people are going to say, because of where the league is now, what happened out of conference, and everybody beating up on anybody, that there's no true best team in the league and the league is down. But it seems to me, I don't want to say it's deeper, but this thing seems so wide open this year. What's your thought on the league right now as we get ready to go into February?
Yeah, I mean, we went what did we go? We went 15-3 last year. No one's going 15-3 this year. They're just not. That speaks to the depth of the league. And there's not as much difference between the best team in our league and like, I wouldn't even call them the worst team in our league, but 1-16 is a lot closer than it was last year, if that makes sense. It's just, every single night, anybody can beat anybody. Oklahoma has had a couple just devastating losses. South Carolina has won 2 games in the league so far, and they went down to LSU, who they were up 43-15, and LSU almost just went in there and beat Arkansas. Texas A&M obviously off to a great start, but anybody can beat anybody in this league, and there's just there's really not a lot of separation between 1-16. Where last year I felt like there was, while it was the best in the history of college basketball, and but I thought the top of our league was just so damn strong with where those teams were. I think this year there's just it's really tight, and there's not a lot of separation from one spot to the next. And every single night you really gotta show up, and you gotta bring your best, or else you're gonna be on the losing end of it.
Lance is in Seattle, coach, for the Rams game last night. He saw his Rams lose in the NFC Championship, so no Vizsla questions today. I hope they're doing well, though, just so we can address it.
Brittany asked me this morning, are they going to ask about Nelly? And I was like, if Lance is there, they'll probably ask about Nelly. So, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, okay, good. I'll let Lance know when he returns from Seattle. Congrats on the win. Good luck against Texas this week, Coach. As always, we appreciate the time. It's good talking with you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, take care. That is Stephen Pearl, the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, coming off that win, and he was with us on the Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys Hotline.
Yeah, tell us about Alexander Shunnarah, Brownie, and then we'll. It's always good to see Stephen, and just an amazing job. And I'll say this again: if with Stephen's resume and what he had done as an assistant, if Bruce Pearl had left and Auburn had hired Stephen Pearl, it would have been a good hire just on what he'd done. And there are people that are going to still, question his credentials, I guess, as a head coach. And when he has beaten Pitino and Calipari and Altman and Beard and Golden, and when he gets a win like he did on Saturday, and the resume they put together, I thought it was we talk signature wins in football all the time. And I thought that was a signature win on Saturday for Stephen Pearl. Yeah. Not that he needed to have it, not that he needs to impress anybody, but to go in there and beat that team on their floor, sold out arena, national TV audience with, as he said, the people in Vegas thinking you're a double-digit underdog. It just, that's a signature win. And to me, there was a discussion about Auburn being, a 9-10 seed when we get to March. And I think the conversation should shift now to how high can Auburn go? Can they be a 4? Can they be a 5? We'll see what the rest of the season holds. But I think on Saturday you answered the question whether or not this team is going to be on any bubble later in the year. You saw that this team is trending a lot more upward than they are than hovering around the bubble.
Yeah. They went into that game as a bubble team, there's no doubt. But you had a win over Florida to your resume, and that is certainly going to help. There's no doubt about it. That is, as we said going into this game, by all the metric sites, the Torviks, the Ken Palms, that was the one SEC team in the top 10, as we talked about with coaches, a different league this year. So, last year, you would have 4 or 5 chances to play a team that's in the top 10 of the analytics. You don't this year. And you got to play that one team on the road and get the win. That is massive.
Yeah.
Alexander Shunnarah Trial Attorneys, it was his hotline where you found Coach Pearl just now. And as you well know, Alexander Shunnarah handles personal injury cases, but it goes much, much deeper than that. he handles bad drug and device cases, storm damage cases, which there may be some of those here, and in our viewership with all the ice storms, workers cases, employment cases, all those things right there at Alexander Shannara. It's not just the personal injury. Shannara.com, that is where you go. You do not pay a dime unless they win your case. They have recovered more than $2 billion for their clients. That's billion with a B, $2 billion for their clients. And it all starts right there at Shannara.com. Alexander Shannara, trial attorneys, Shannara.com.
And our friends at Hemp Hill Services, heating, cooling, and plumbing, 205-229-2090, 229-2090, hemphillservices.com. The name Birmingham is trusted now since 1954. If it's not running right, flowing right, or draining right, Hemp Hill will take care of you. They do commercial and residential service, heating and air, insulation, and maintenance as well. And as I said, they've got a 24-hour, 7 days a week emergency heating and cooling plumbing service hotline. You can call them up at any time. It's our friends at Hemp Hill. They bring you Lance's Lock, lanceslock.com. And Lance will be with us later on, but you can go play lanceslock.com. All the great basketball plays today, including two big ones tonight. Number 23, Louisville at number 5, Duke. And number 1, Arizona, still unbeaten on the road at number 13, BYU. So it'll be 20-0 Arizona on the road playing AJ Dabatsa, coming off 43 points. And BYU's at home against unbeaten Arizona. AP poll out later today where Arizona should stay number 1. And at 20-0, it'll be interesting to see if they can still be unbeaten when the night is done, as Arizona, Nebraska, and Miami of Ohio are still all 20-0. All right. As we said, no traditional commercial breaks today, so we'll keep rolling along. Thanks for being with us for the next round. Jim Dunaway, Ryan Brown. Why I'm resetting it right here, I have no idea. But let's listen to a couple of sound bites from Tuscaloosa, if we can, after Alabama loses at home to Tennessee, 79-73 in that contest. And in that game, LeBaron Philon was left out of that perimeter with Latrell Wrightsell back, but he had missed so many games, so it was his first game back. He was he was okay.
Started good.
Still finding his groove. Houston Millette did not have a great scoring night, but he does so many things. But there was no Amari Allen, no Aiden Holloway, and Aiden Sherrill got into foul trouble. And poor Charles Bediako, straight from the G League, playing in that game, and they needed him just to stay competitive. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks behind Philon, who dropped all those points in there and still couldn't get Alabama to victory. 26 points, 7 assists, and 4 takeaways. Brownie, let's go cut number 4. Nate Oates starting to sound a little bit like he did 2 years ago, because Nate Ament from Tennessee, Nate Ament, 29 points. His career high before that, the true freshman, was 23. Here's cut 4, Nate Oates after the game.
But we got to do a better job. I mean, this is too many guys get their season averages on us, or season highs on us. I'm sorry. Nate Ament comes out, scores a season high on us. Did a great job. We obviously know he's a talented player. He's supposed to go in the lottery. We didn't have anybody really step up and do a great job stopping him. On the offensive end, they did a really good job making sure that the ball didn't move, and we didn't move it enough. We only had 9 assists. Outside of Barron, we had 2 guys have 1 assist each. So, obviously, Tennessee's a really good defensive team, but we didn't do a good job attacking them. In large part due to us not getting enough stops, particularly in the second half, and being able to get out and transition. We didn't hardly have any transition buckets, which is not how we're supposed to play. And it's frustrating. It's a good team. We've now lost back-to-back home games. We've had a great crowd. I thought they were unbelievable. Thank them for coming out and giving us exactly what we needed, but we didn't give them a good enough show like we should have.
But everyone talking about Charles Bediako leading into the game and after the game, Brownie. And nationally, the reaction. I mean, Tennessee sent out a wonderful tweet
My gosh.
where they clipped Alabama at the knees on social media. It was from the official Tennessee site
Yeah.
where they basically said, "Blue coach, you're next." For those that don't know, that's the G League defending champions, and Tennessee sent that out from their social media account. Rick Barnes was asked. I was about to ask the exact question. The person before me asked the question. What kind of impact did Charles Bediako have? Here's cut number 7. Rick Barnes reacting to that question about having to prepare for Charles Bediako's first game back.
Rick, what impact do you think Bediako had for Alabama tonight?
He's a player we knew coming in from playing pass that he could go get those lobs, rebound, change shots, and we didn't do one thing different in terms of our scouting report. We planned all week with Aiden and those guys being here, and when they made the changes they made, we said nothing's changing, and now we're going to guard these guys and what we need to do. And obviously personnel, Nate's always had some guys like that, that you could as a lob threat, set screens, roll, or play behind the basket, and so we really didn't spend a lot of. We really didn't. We just said this was even before it was announced he was going to play. We had already had the game plan in, and we didn't change anything.
Early on, early on, it just kind of looked like Tennessee was unprepared for it, and they were going to adjust during the game because right when he comes out, they run that beautiful out of bounds play for him. And he's just a wide open dunk. He gets another quick basket. So, I think coach is probably being a little humble there, Rick Barnes. I think they kind of saw what he's doing and they adjusted in game. I guess they adjusted well to that. I don't know. But that just kind of seemed like that was their game plan. Is all right. We're going to go with what we've planned and we'll adjust on the fly. And look, you don't win. How many games Rick Barnes won? 800 some odd games. He's a Hall of Fame coach. You don't win that many games without being able to adjust to something like that.
Yeah, I would say this, that Bediako looked better than I remembered him. The lobs and at the rim, I expected that. But there was one moment in the game where he faked the handoff, spun the guy from about the three-point line, dribbled, dunk. And I thought to myself, boy, that was impressive. And I think people need to keep in mind that if they win this court case, this injunction case on Tuesday, and the NCAA has a local law firm they've retained, and so it'll all happen on Tuesday. But if he keeps playing, Bediako will only get better. I don't know about scoring, but he'll blend in with the team better because he basically had one practice and one pregame workout to sort of refamiliarize himself with the system, but he didn't. It's obvious, but he has never played with any of these guys on the floor. The 2023 team, the last time he played, those guys are gone.
Yeah.
And these are all new guys. So to never have played in a game with these guys, to know, how to roll off screens for a pylon or how to set, this or that, or what to look for in a pass, an entry pass, or any of that. It was all, learning on the fly for Bediako. And I think if the injunction goes the way Alabama and Bediako wants it to go tomorrow, I think this guy blends in with the team better down the road.
What do you think? Let's assume they get and I think most people around this think they're going to get a positive ruling here. So let's assume they get a positive ruling and they got Bediako the rest of the season. And let's assume, with two assumptions here, everyone is healthy. What do you think Nate Oates' desired starting five is that includes Bediako?
I don't know if Bediako ever starts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's surprising to me. You don't think he ever starts? He's always going to be a sixth man?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Aiden Sherrill is your starter.
So, but you don't move Sherrill to the 4 and start Bediako at the 5?
To me, I'm not Nate Oates. I don't know what the plan is. They did play both of them on the floor briefly the other night.
You wondered if that was like, let's see how this looks. You got to look at it without Holloway and Allen out there, but see how they play as the 4 and the 5.
I mean, to me, if Bediako and Bediako and Sherrill not to be on the floor at the same time for exactly what happened to Aiden Sherrill the other night. When he got into foul trouble, it was good to have Bediako to be on the floor to give them some presence
Yeah.
under the rim and on the backside defensively. Sherrill to me is the best defender at the rim. He is I personally, my opinion, I think he's a better offensive player, though he only had 6 the other night. I think he's a better offensive player than Bediako. I think he's a better player all around than Bediako. I think he's better at the rim than Bediako. And truthfully, it's his team. So I think Sherrill always starts. And Bediako comes off the bench in my world. We'll see what Nate Oates has planned. A lot of basketball left to play, but in my world, he would still come off the bench.
Yeah. So then your starting 5 would be Sherrill at the 5. So Phylon, Allen, Holloway, Sherrill, and here's the thing. Like, I can't do anything but be critical here. I can't even give the caveat of not trying to be critical. I am trying to be critical. What is Taylor Bowen bringing right now? Like, when you put him on the floor, you're putting him on the floor for what?
It's potential, it's
Yeah.
what he has done. But I do think Rick Barnes and them
They let him
intentionally,
shoot all night. They were
Yeah.
like, yeah, don't cover that guy.
leave him open on the perimeter
Yep.
so he will take the shot because they've all got green lights
Yeah.
and we want him shooting.
Yeah.
One night he went 3 for 3, yes. But he's not going to do that every night. We want that guy shooting threes. But I do think there is an upside to Bull Bowen down the road. Amari Allen, to me, probably the best all-around player on the team.
Right.
Phylon's a must. Wrightsell and Millette off the bench, maybe, or maybe
Yeah.
just one of them off the bench.
I-
Maybe you start Phylon, Holloway, Millette, Allen, and Sherrill. I don't know.
It's Williamson's minutes are the ones that are going to get cut, right? Like he really, his minutes Saturday night were because Sherrill got in foul trouble.
Yeah, he got some early on before Sherrill was in foul trouble, but of those 2 guys you mentioned, I think, in my opinion, this is no information from coaches, Williamson probably has been the guy that has not lived up to
Yeah.
his expectations.
He did in
this
one game,
point.
one good game. Yeah.
Against Kentucky, but what he put on the tape at Bucknell, I think he averaged 18 points a game. They're obviously not getting that. And then I think Bull Bowen is the next guy there that is not living up to what you expected him to be so far. But you can continue to grow and you can get better. And with Bediako there to, maybe they were asking Bull Bowen to do something and Williamson to do something that they're not great at doing. And now with Bediako there, it can take a little pressure off of them, then they can go back and being the players they were. You never know what adding one or taking one out of the mix could possibly do. I want you to hear what Nate thought about Bediako's performance. If I can get cut number 5, and then we'll hear from Bediako himself. Before that, though, I want to tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. Brownie, one of them is our friends at Central State Bank. Tell us about Central State Bank.
Yeah, it's the bank that is big enough to know you, big enough to serve you, meet all your banking needs, whether it is that new business you're starting, a new car you're buying, whatever your banking need is. They're big enough to handle that, but they're also small enough to know you. You know why? Because they are a community bank. They have been building relationships in Central Alabama for more than 100 years, and that's what they are based on. Not opening counts, but opening relationships. And that was what has made Central State Bank the bank you can go to for more than 100 years now, serving Central Alabama, great counties like Shelby County, Tallapoosa County. They've been doing that for a very long time and doing it well. So when it comes time for that new dream, Central State Bank can walk right through it every step of the way with you. Built on trust, built on family, built on relationships. It is Central State Bank, member FDIC.
And our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Guys, if you want to jumpstart your weight loss right here in 2026, you can do that with Leslie and her board-certified team. I use protein bars to keep from bad snacking throughout the day. They've got injection therapy if you want to go that route to help jumpstart your weight loss. They've also got meal replacements in a variety of other ways. There's no cookie cutter plan. Every plan is different. It's our friends at Way to Wellness. Planforme.com is the website. No contracts, no sign up fee, and the consultation is free. Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. I apologize. I don't know if we're talking about it in the chat room or not, but the automatic zoom on my camera, it drives me crazy.
Well, I will say this: if anyone in the chat room has any recommendations, because you have tried everything, right, to fix this,
I don't know how to turn it off, but it drives me crazy.
What? Just so that
Luganville has it as well.
Yeah, just so the chat room will know, what are you using? What's your mode of conveyance of this stream?
I'm on an iPad. Are we getting comments in the chat room about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, some people who called it the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Somebody said they're seasick. Somebody said they had an edible this morning. They thought that was it. They're glad to know that everyone else is seeing it.
Well, I can't see the chat room. It was just bothering me to no end because I am a let's frame it up perfectly kind of guy and never do that. And if I lean this way to grab my coffee, then oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, God knows what else it'll show in my room here, which is a mess.
Yeah, it looks good behind you though. I like your studio setup there.
Well, I mean, should we show them if something happens? Let's say
we got breaking news or something.
Yeah, let's say what could happen today. What could happen today?
Let's see.
Could Alabama hire a new offensive line coach?
They could. Alabama has fired Chris Kapilovich, Jim. Offensive line coach will not return to the Crimson Tide.
Okay, let me see here. Hold on.
I was doing the setup. I thought you were ready.
Yeah. No, I've got a name that's being mentioned. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. He's got some NFL experience.
Where did I write that?
You wrote it in your notes.
I did write it in my notes. It should have been front and center.
Yeah, it should have been note number 1.
It really should have been. Oh, he's former Oregon anyway.
Yeah, he was at Oregon and in the NFL. Adrian Clem.
Yeah. Oregon and the New England Patriots.
That's right.
Yeah. So if he gets hired today, if Adrian Clem gets hired, it'll be like this. Ready?
Yeah, give it to me.
Oh, Brad, I've got breaking news. Adrian Clem's is being considered for the Alabama job.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. Or if we're doing a forecast, hey, 7-day forecast calls for cold temperatures. We're going to turn it blue back here for freezing temperature.
Trust me, I have not gone outside today, but I am told you can leave it blue right there. I think blue works.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
Green.
What is it? That means no accidents here in Birmingham. Traffic.
No accidents in Birmingham today. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, pink.
That's right.
Yep. And then we're set on sort of a
neutral
bone yellow.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Oh, don't use bone. That's the Rams colors.
It was intentional. It was intentional. For those asking, I was not cheering for the Patriots. I got several questions on social media. Are you cheering for the Patriots or are you cheering for the Rams?
Tyler's giving you turn off the automatic zoom center stage feature on your iPad.
Am I allowed to do that, Tyler, can I do that in the middle of a live stream?
Yeah, well, hey, oh gosh, he's giving you 2 things now. I don't know if it's you may want to text that to him, Tyler.
So toggle the center stage off.
Yeah.
Give me the first one again.
Yeah, show him the first one again, Tyler. He needs to see the first one again.
Okay, where do I find that? So do I open a control center?
So he says swipe down from the top right corner, open
Right
control center, tap the video effects button.
Okay, video effects button.
Yeah. You're still on camera, so everything's going well.
What does that look like? Video effects. I just have symbols.
That's a good question. I don't know. Let me swipe down from
Tyler can talk to us. Put him on.
Well, I mean, he can talk. That's up to Tyler.
I mean, punch Tyler in so he can talk to us.
Well, he's not. He doesn't have his camera on. I don't know if Tyler. I don't know what Tyler could be naked for all I know. Yeah. I don't know what to do, Jimmy. We may have to do this some other time.
No, I'd love to do it now.
I know you would.
Well, there's the other side of the room.
Now we've completely lost you now.
Yeah.
In fact, give me a read to do. Who can I do?
Do New York Butcher while
All right. That's our friend.
I don't even know how to get me back.
That's oh gosh, it's gonna be a long. We got another. Who knows how long?
Oh no.
Yeah. Have you completely turned your camera off?
I don't know.
Oh no. Oh, it's a disaster. We couldn't leave good enough alone just because of the chat room. New York Butcher Shop, our friends Jim and the entire gang there at New York Butcher Shop. 2 great locations. Greystone location, also Cahaba Heights. They are the go-to, man. I promise you it is going to warm up at some point. You're going to want to fire that grill up, get those steaks going, those Duroc pork chops that are fantastic there, the chicken. We probably don't spend enough time talking about the sides. They've got great sides there as well at New York Butcher Shop. nybutcher.com, nybutcher.com, New York Butcher Shop. Greystone and Cahaba Heights. Go see Jim and the gang. Tell them I want some of them next round steaks they're talking about. Jim, I know what you mean. He's a big, big fan of the show. He's family to us. So go by and see our buddy Jim at New York Butcher Shop, Cahaba Heights, Greystone, New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well done service for our friends at New York Butcher Shop. Nate Oates, the Alabama basketball coach. Here are his thoughts on what Charles Bediako, you heard Rick Barnes' thoughts on it. Here's Nate Oates' thoughts on what Bediako brought to the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, what do you think of Chuck's performance?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought he meshed well with our guys early. Thought LeBaron found him on some lobs. We got the dunk to start the, his first bucket. It was great. You got that little slip on the underneath out of bounds. For a guy that's only been here a few days to fit in with the team, he hadn't actually played with any of these guys, even though he'd been in our system before. I thought he was good. I mean, he almost led us in blue-collar points. And he's got to get a few more rebounds for us. He knows it. I mean, he was telling me that, in the first half when he came out. But guys all loved him. He's a great teammate. He's going to help us moving forward. We just got to get him to rebound the ball a little bit better, particularly on the defensive end.
The rebounding probably not where everyone wanted it to be for Charles Bediako. Here is how Alabama's returning center described, in his own words, his play on Saturday night in the loss to Tennessee.
What was it like being back out there after 3 years?
It was an amazing feeling. I just thank everybody in Coleman for coming in. Coleman was great. Everybody came to support. And, it felt great to be back. Especially playing, with the Alabama across my chest. It was great.
Charles, what were your thoughts on your rebounding effort tonight? Did you have a little bit more expectation for yourself? And just how did that kind of play into the injuries of the team as well?
Yeah, 100%. I got to be better. The rebound count was unacceptable. So, I just got to be better at that. No excuses about that. And, we just got to be better as a whole.
So obviously Dunaway, he takes the blame. He says the rebounding wasn't where it needs to be. Nate Oates had said it. He said it. I mean, I think that is the one thing. He had 3 rebounds in 25 minutes. Yeah. You're going to be that big of a guy. You got to have more than 3 rebounds in 25 minutes.
And 2 blocks early on, like you said, until Tennessee adjusted, it worked out like it almost looked at first like a Saturday Night Live skit. Where they were playing little kids, like they lobbed it to him, dunk, lobbed it to him, dunk, lobbed it to him, dunk. He swatted one out of there, and then he became just another college player with G League experience in the game. It'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward with all that. But that was basketball this weekend when it came to Alabama and Auburn. Stephen Pearl on the show earlier. And that was a lot of fun. Bucky and Texas A&M in sole possession of first place at 6-1. They're 31 in the Ken Palm, and really sole possession of first place in the SEC. That says enough about what Bucky has done. Cut number 8, if we can, Brownie. This is Bucky McMillan they just beat South Carolina 92-69, and Bucky gets asked, when did he know it was going to be his night?
Was there a point in the game where you were like, "Wow, this is our night"?
I don't know. there was very few times do you have a half. I think the first half of the game we held them to, I have it in there, like 0.72 points of possession on defense. Like we scored 1.35. That doesn't happen in many league games. Like, I mean, when you come in there and you're like, whoa, we're holding them in the first half under 30% from the field. And we were scoring in the first half at a very high rate. Like we made 54% of our threes, made 12 threes. So, I mean, when that happens, you feel like a great coach over there.
Well, he's certainly making the case for being a great coach. I mean, I don't know if people believe in this team yet, Jim. Do you think people believe? No, I would say after Saturday, a lot of people would still tell you Florida's the best team in the league, even though Auburn won at Florida. But, you can't make it a snapshot. It's got to be a portrait. I don't know how many people believe Texas A&M's the best team in this league right now, but to their credit, they're playing like it, and their record says they are. If you just go by record, they're the best team in the conference right now.
I'll keep doubting them all the way, to championship Saturday in Nashville or the Final Four, wherever it all ends for Bucky, because I don't think they're the best team. But he's doing the best job coaching right now of a team that probably doesn't have the best talent.
Well,
I mean, I will say this: I watched Florida, and even before they played Auburn. In fact, I think I said it on the show Friday. Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee, compared to the backcourt they had last year, is no comparison.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean you're comparing them to Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, that's one of the best players ever to have played at Florida.
Yeah. So Florida is not as good as they were last year. They could still be the best in the SEC and not be as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
Auburn is so athletic, so talented. They've got all the pieces. Especially with Sebastian William Adams playing the way he is, Sway. I still think Alabama, if they've yet to play one game healthy, if Alabama ever gets healthy,
yes,
I think Alabama is one of the best teams in the league.
I agree completely.
Rick Barnes told me after the game that was the first time, and he said in the press conference that this was the roster that he played with the other night in Tuscaloosa that he thought he'd have all season long, and because of injury, that was the first time he was able to put that group on the court for the first time this year. They were a better basketball team than their record indicates. I think Arkansas still has a chance to be the best team in the league when it's all said and done. Darius Acuff may be the best player in the league. Scored 31 over the weekend. I'm still not buying Kentucky and Texas and Georgia. Texas beat Georgia. Both of them are really good. A lot of tournament teams. But if I had to say best team in the SEC, I don't think we're going to get one that is a clear-cut number one this year or two. I think it'll be four. And I still don't put Texas A&M in my four. It would be, in no particular order, Florida, Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas.
So they're 6-1 in the league, and keep in mind that one is a double overtime loss at Tennessee. A game they easily could have won. I mean, they could be 7-0 right now, right? Yep. Their next three at 6-1 at Georgia, who's coming off a 20-point loss to Texas, at Alabama. They've got a midweek bye, I should point out. They got a bye this week. So they don't play again until Saturday. At Georgia, Saturday. They turn around a Wednesday night game in Coleman Coliseum, so back-to-back road games. And then the Florida Gators. That is a Saturday game, a Saturday night game. So there's your next three, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. You'll learn a lot about them. But I'll say this. I mean, gosh, if they're 8-2 coming out of that stretch, I think you make a case they are the best team in the league. If they're somehow 9-1, there's zero doubt in my mind they're the best team in the league.
We'll talk about Alabama's coaching staff move. Dabo Swinney, right here, just basically going full guns at Pete Golding at Ole Miss, naming names, and the NFL playoffs all coming up in hour number 2 of the show. Is Tyler going to jump on with us and do the viewing menu? Do you know if he's doing that or not?
I do not. He can text it to me. I don't think he is. See, the problem is I can't just have Tyler audio only, I don't think.
Sure you can.
Can you?
Well, I mean, just put the black box up there. If he doesn't want to be on camera.
All right.
I mean, do we not have a 3 box? I mean, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Tyler's got his mic muted. If Tyler unmutes his mic and talks, I think we can hear him right now.
Is Tyler sleeping?
Tyler, are you there?
To the show?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. How are you,
absolutely.
Tyler?
Hey.
I'm good. I got to sleep in this morning.
Yeah, congrats.
I
wait, I thought we were all supposed to be right here doing the show. Is Forrester in here?
Yeah, Forrester's here too. No, Tyler's been here since the start of the show. You just slept a little later than normal.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I didn't have to be physically there in the show.
Yeah, let me hear Forrester too. Forrester.
Okay.
Forrester.
All right, Scott, we need proof of life.
I am here.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
What's up, guys?
Just want to make sure everybody's getting paid their full weight today.
Whole back room is there.
What about Brooks?
I'll be doing some social here in a minute.
Okay.
Is Brooks here?
Brooks is not in. Brooks is working because I've seen some social, but he's not in our studio right here.
Okay. All right.
He's not in the chat.
All right.
So we don't have the whole back room in the chat. All right. So Michelson viewing menu presented each day by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision, 969-8100. MichelsonLaserVision.com. LASIK surgery could be just what you need for 2026. Has your vision, your distance vision, been degraded? Well, Lance had the same exact thing. He was basically blind and went and got LASIK surgery from Doctors Mark and Jennifer Michelson. It is a father-daughter team. They are pioneers in the industry. And now he's got fighter pilot vision. So call Amy, 969-8100. Say, I would like Lance Taylor's fighter pilot vision. You can get a risk-free evaluation from the Michelsons and see if it is right for you. MichelsonLaserVision.com, 969-8100. They bring you the viewing menu. Tyler, what you got for us today?
All right, so we've got a limited release. I mentioned it Friday. It's called Hard Boiled, directed by John Woo. I got to watch it last night, and it was an absolute blast. If you're a fan of the John Wick movies, these early Hong Kong movies from John Woo are like the prototype to those movies.
Okay.
You get a lot of just wild choreography for the gunfights, and it's just action from start to finish. Really great if you like the detective police procedural stories as well. And then I've also got a Screen Unseen tonight. It will be rated R and about 2 hours and 11 minutes long. And it's most likely going to be a movie called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. A man from the future travels to the past and recruits the patrons of a Los Angeles diner he arrives in to help combat a rogue artificial intelligence. It stars Sam Rockwell and is directed by Gore Verbinski, who is best known for the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean films and also The Ring.
I like the Pirates of the Caribbean. I think I'm relatively alone on this show in that, but I always enjoyed those movies. I thought they were very well done, Tyler.
Oh, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I always liked those. And I thought Johnny Depp was fantastic as Captain Jack Sparrow. I mean, I thought that was it was almost a role made just for Johnny Depp. It's like, I'm going to make something Johnny Depp can excel in, and I think they did.
Yeah, it was definitely one he made into his own as well. There was a lot of improv done for those early Pirates films. And then later today, hopefully if the road conditions are good, I'll be rewatching Lord of the Rings in theater again because I want to catch it again before it leaves.
Is this number 2 or number 3 for you?
Wow.
So I'll be watching the first film, and this will be the second time in theaters I've seen it. But I guess technically the 4th Lord of the Rings film I've watched in theaters in the past few weeks.
Wow. Well, you love it, man.
That's a lot.
Yep.
All right, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler. See you tomorrow.
Enjoy your nap.
Yeah.
Our friends at Walk-Ons bringing you this first hour of the show. We'll move to hour number 2 after I remind you our friends at Walk-Ons open for you today. Every day is game day, whether it's a post-win celebration, drinks after work, or taking the family from some made-from-scratch favorites. Walk-Ons, your go-to for good times and wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers and cocktails, bold flavors for fans of all ages. The melty mozzarella logs, Hall of Fame level burgers, great bone-in wings now they have at Walk-Ons. You can stop by or order today in the Walk-Ons app. Walk-On Sports Bistro, Trustville, Greystone, Stadium Trace. It's Walk-Ons. Game on with our friends at Walk-Ons there. Let's go first. We'll save the NFL talk for when Lance joins us at some point throughout the show today. We'll we'll discuss that with him. Let's go Alabama, making some news going into the weekend. They're getting rid of their former O-line coach, and according to Chris Lowe, USC analyst Adrian Clem has emerged as a prime target to be Alabama's next offensive line coach. Chris Lowe reporting that, along with On3 and Pete Nakos. He's the former Oregon and New England Patriots offensive line coach. Brownie, I don't know about you, but this was the most asked question I got after the Rose Bowl loss was, do you think Alabama will make any changes on the coaching staff, specifically on the offensive line?
Yeah, I think the run issues that Alabama had got pinned right on the offensive line. Certainly the pass protection issues they had, that's the only place you can pin them. Well, I guess there are two options. Either the quarterback doesn't get you in the right protections or, doesn't make the right reads. But obviously somebody's got to block somebody at some point. But I think Alabama's run issues primarily got pinned on that offensive line. So I think most Alabama fans thought, if you're going to run it that bad, somebody's going to have to take the fall. And the obvious one was Chris Kapilovic, the Alabama offensive line coach. I would say in the Kalen DeBoer era, the 2 years, it is a short era. I don't know that the offensive line's ever been good. I mean, have you ever looked, even as you point out, with offensive linemen going to the NFL, Tyler Booker was a first-round draft pick and started when he wasn't injured the entire season for the Dallas Cowboys. And still, you just don't have, I don't think, a quality offensive line. Have you thought in 2 years they've ever really had a quality offensive line?
No, but I will say it again. That goes back to Nick Saban, too.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's last dominant offensive line was in 2020, ironically, when they won the championship. It went a little down in 2021, went a little down in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. It's gotten gradually worse every year, though
Agree.
you've had some tremendous stars on there, but tackle to tackle, they haven't been able to line up on a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and get 2 yards like they used to be able to do. And like some of the better teams in college football can do. You can line up the best of the best more times than not, can line up on 3rd and 1 and get 1 yard.
Yeah, and they have not been able to do that in a long time, to your point. And, that's going to get pinned on the offensive line coach. And he was the obvious one to take the fall. I'm not saying that is all the only coach Alabama fans are pointing at, far from it, but I think it's obvious that is the unit that has underperformed time and time and time again. So, I think you could probably see this coming, and I understand the timing of it. It's, the timing is difficult. Used to, you'll remember this, you would see a lot of coaching changes right after the February signing date. You remember that?
Yep.
There'd be the February signing date, and then all of a sudden, offensive coordinator's not going to return, quarterback's coach not going to return. And you knew they were doing that because they were trying to get guys signed, and then they made the coaching changes. Dirty pool, maybe. I don't know. Well, now I think you got to have all hands on deck. Even if a coach knows he's on his way out the door, I'm still paying you, but we've got to evaluate this transfer portal. Well, what was the biggest need for Alabama in the transfer portal? These two go hand in hand. It was offensive line. So, whether Kapilovic knew he was not coming back or not, you had to have all hands on deck probably for that transfer portal. So I think you kind of see the timing here of why it's working out the way it has. In a perfect world, could you go hire a guy, whether it is Clem or anyone else, before the transfer portal opens? Sure, you'd love to do that, but that's not the way it worked out for Alabama.
So that's Alabama's big move. By the way, Kalen DeBoer at the basketball game, him and his beautiful wife, Saturday night, there for the late night game in Coleman Coliseum, staying till the end. They stayed and watched Alabama there. And Coach DeBoer, always very friendly with fans that were able to get down, were sitting on the floor. So he was chatting with not just Greg Byrne, who he was sitting with, but also with some of the fans, and I assume some of the boosters that may have been on hand as well. So Alabama football working closer towards finishing up portal acquisitions and then moving forward for another football season. You never know, though, when the portal is closed, what may be happening. Dabo Sweeney, what he said over the weekend in our Sound of the Day, brought to you by our friends at Inverness Country Club. Brownie, you spend a lot of time. No golf this week, though. It's too cold.
Yeah, we got those greens covered out there in Inverness right now, Jimmy D. They got to let this weather change a little bit before we get back out on the course. But Well, take advantage I can to get out there every opportunity I can. Take advantage of the opportunity to get out there and play golf at Inverness Country Club. It could be your club home as well. Aaron is our friend there at Inverness Country Club, ICCalabama.com. That is the website to go to, ICCalabama.com, where you can find out all the information on Inverness Country Club and contact Aaron there and just set up a club tour. So many times I'm out there, I'll run into Aaron and she's like, hey, another member of your audience about to do a club tour. So we appreciate you guys responding to that and going and seeing Aaron. Well, so many of you have done it, and so many of you need to because you're looking for that club home in Birmingham. Here's the number, 991-8608, 991-8608, or ICCalabama.com. See more about the great course, the beautiful clubhouse, the resort-style pool once we get the weather back and you can get in the water. That is a great pool. And then the tennis facility is fantastic as well. And they've just remodeling the clubhouse there at the tennis facility. So it's going to be brand new. ICCalabama.com. Or call our friend Aaron and set up a tour for yourself, 205-991-8608 for Inverness Country Club. The best days start at Inverness.
Now, we'll react to what Dabo Swinney says here in a moment. But if you'll give me cut 9, Brownie, Dabo Swinney here on Pete Golding. Dabo Swinney blasted Pete Golding back over the weekend, saying Pete Golding offered Luke Ferrelli basically a $1 million contract while he was sitting in class at Clemson. Ferrelli played at Cal last year, transferred in the portal to Clemson, was enrolled at Clemson, was in class at Clemson, and then ends up going to Ole Miss because it was tampered with, according to Dabo Swinney. And Dabo Swinney brought receipts to a news conference and then read it out. This is a lengthy soundbite, but listen to Dabo Swinney on the tampering in his eyes of Luke Ferrelli.
I said, will you reach out to their GM? He said he knows him. And I said, listen, this guy has been a head coach for 4 weeks. I said, you reach out to the GM. I'm going to give him some grace. And you let him know that we know what's going on, all right? And if he doesn't cease communication, I'm going to turn him in. And so I really thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. So after that was 11:45. At 12:10, Jordan communicated to Austin Thomas via text because he was unable to reach him on the phone. And just a few minutes later, at 12:14, they both connected on the phone. The Ole Miss GM, Austin Thomas, and Jordan reiterated our stance one more time. The GM assured Jordan that he had communicated to the agent that he wanted no part of this and that his relationship with Jordan was more important to him than Luke Ferrelli. But that Pete Golding just does what he does. Quote, like there's tampering and then there's blatant tampering. You know, tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class. That's like a whole nother level of tampering. And it's total hypocrisy because all this is going on while they, on the other side, are trying to fight their defensive end from going in the portal. They have accused publicly others of tampering with their roster and their players while they are over here tampering. All right, so this is just a really sad state of affairs, and it's, to me, we have a broken system.
Yes, there's a broken system. So my first question, and I was asked about this earlier today on Sirius XM with Dusty and Danny too. I thought I was coming on to talk about Bediako, but the first question was about Dabo and what he said. And they were like, what's your thoughts on it? And I said, who's going to police it?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so is anything going to happen to Pete Golding at Ole Miss? I don't know who's the person that's going to do that. What's the organization that's going to do that?
So that's what Dabo said. We're going to report you. And my first question in my mind was report you to who?
Yeah.
The NCAA. What's the NCAA going to do about it? I mean, I think we've learned here in this state over the last week how toothless the NCAA is right now. Like, I don't think they've got any power. I just real quick, and we'll get back on Dabo, but I don't know if you watched Game Day, Jay Billis's discussion, Jay Billis, Seth Greenberg, Reese, the gang there. And Seth Greenberg looks across the desk and says, the NCAA is the ruling body of college basketball. And Billis said, nominally.
Yes.
And then Reese said, yeah, by name they are. And that's the point. Like, who you turning this into? So Pete Golding tampers, you're going to who with this? I mean, that's the whole thing.
And let me ask you, have you seen a statement on Charles Bediako from Greg Sankey or the SEC?
I have not. I've seen one from Greg Byrne. Greg Byrne released one, but no, not Greg Sankey. I have not. And I'm not saying he hasn't said anything, but I haven't seen it. Have you?
I haven't seen it either. But my point being, I don't think the SEC is going to step in and do anything to Pete Golding. And I think the SEC right now is more powerful than the NCAA is.
Yeah.
With their schools, with their institutions. I think Greg Sankey swings a bigger sword with SEC schools, but Dabo's an ACC school.
That's right.
If LSU is doing what they're doing to Ole Miss inside the league, you're dang sure not going to go fight for an ACC school. That's my point. I understand why Dabo's upset, and trust me, I really understand why Dabo's upset, because he didn't want to be part of this portal thing at all. I'm not doing this portal thing. So finally he does this portal thing after a horrible season at Clemson. He's like, well, I guess I've got to do this portal thing. And his first experience is this. It's almost like, hey, I don't want to ride the roller coaster. I don't want to ride the roller coaster. Then finally you ride the roller coaster and you get stuck on the top of the highest hill on the roller coaster upside down. And you've got to get the fire department to get you off the roller coaster, and you get on the ground. You're like, that's why I didn't want to ride the roller coaster. Dabo's now in this portal, and this is what happens to Dabo.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Of all the coaches for this to happen to, it is Dabo Swinney. And look, I mean, what did he have to lose, right? What does he care? So I do credit him for, like, I've got the receipts. I'm going to bring the receipts, and I'm not just going to make a baseless accusation. I'm not even going to make a blind accusation. I am going to tell you who was tampering, exactly how they tampered, and I'm going to give you the timeline.
Yeah, and how about him saying, look, hey, would you reach out to their GM just to let Pete know? I know Pete's only been a head coach for like 5 days.
Yeah.
And he's been busy winning playoff games. So just tell him, hey, we know we're not, no big deal. You probably didn't understand the gentleman's handshake agreement here. He's in class at Clemson, so let him go. And then Dabo's like, they didn't stop.
Nope. Well, I mean, the damning quote was Pete's going to do what Pete's going to do. I mean, the way I understood
inventing things like there's tampering 101, then there's tampering 201, and then there's tampering 301.
But the way I understood what Dabo said right there is the Ole Miss GM told the Clemson GM, I can say something, but Pete's going to do what Pete's going to do. I mean, is that the way you understood that?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was the agent or the GM, but I think it was the GM. Pete's going to be Pete. Pete's going to do Pete things.
Yeah. So, and here's the other side of this is, like, Pete Golding was such a sympathetic figure and such a likable figure. And I think everybody out there was getting on board with Pete Golding, and he won, and they were shoving it in Lane's face and all those things. And I don't guess, personal goodwill matters. I mean, who cares if I'm the Ole Miss coach, what the Clemson fan base thinks of me or the Alabama fan base thinks of me. But boy, the shine got off Pete Golding in a hurry, right? If this is the way he's operating.
Yes.
I mean, because he's
got to fight for Ole Miss, though.
He does, but this was the basis of his claims against LSU was that, Lane Kiffin went down there, and all of a sudden LSU's coming after all of our players, and Lane's got all this inside information. And I'm not saying Pete Golding said this, but the rumors / reports were that Lane Kiffin was sharing with Ole Miss players how much certain guys were getting to try to create some division among the Ole Miss players so he could pick off the guys through the division. And you're like, man, that sucks. I hate it. Somebody's doing that to Pete Golding. And then you hear another head coach saying, well, let me tell you what Pete Golding's doing.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you don't feel as bad for him anymore.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, though, because who's going to come in and say you can't do it? And, you know what? Pete Golding is like, wait a second, you're gonna do what to me? And then he's gonna have receipts on LSU, and then LSU is gonna have receipts on whoever they lost a player to, and Alabama and Auburn's got receipts probably on Texas, and that where Isaiah Bond and Cam Coleman ended up going. So
Well,
I just don't think there's anything you can do anymore if your contract somehow doesn't prevent you from leaving, and even at that point, like Duke right now is negotiating, working out a deal with Miami with Darian Mensah, who has signed a new NIL deal. Duke owns his NIL rights. Apparently it's contractually binding, but Miami and Mensah's camp are working with Duke on some kind of settlement. Whether that's financial, a player to be named later, I don't know. But they're working on something there at Duke. And I guess what? I guarantee you Manny Diaz isn't going to be happy with whatever that settlement is.
no, he's not, because he's losing a quarterback. But let me say the silver lining in all of this. If you want to find a silver lining in that situation and the Dabo Pete Golding situation, is we are at least to the point. We're at least to the point now, and I always thought this would slow down the transfer portal, and maybe I'm wrong. We're at least to the point where I'm getting compensation when I lose a player. So, but now that's only if the player has signed an agreement that involves a buyout, which right now, if you're signing NIL agreements with players that don't involve buyouts, you're crazy, because all you got to do is look around and see what's happening. But at least we're to the point where if I'm Clemson and I lose this kid, at least my NIL, my organization is getting some money back out of this, so that I can go get another player potentially. Now, in this window here, what Clemson will have to do is go rob another roster. And it's going to have to be somebody that's already in the portal or a graduate, because keep in mind, there's not a second portal window here. And that's the rough part about this timing is everybody that is in the portal, or everybody that's going to get in the portal, already is now. So it's not like Clemson has the spring portal to go fix this issue. This was a guy, obviously, they were counting on to play this coming season, and now they're not going to have him, and it may be difficult to find a replacement.
Much more on college football after we remind you that our show today remotely being brought to you by a couple of great sponsors. One of them is our friends at the World of Wills, which is coming up this weekend, Brownie. It's a big opportunity in Birmingham to get out and enjoy something that the kids absolutely love.
Oh, they do. Worldofwills.net is the website. Worldofwills.net. You can see everything I'm about to tell you about right there at worldofwills.net. It is the 55th annual O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wills Custom Auto Show. And it is this Friday through Sunday. I'm going to give you the hours down at the BJCC. Friday is 3 to 9. Saturday is 9 to 10. Sunday is 10 to 6. Those are the hours right there. And again, you can get all of this at worldofwills.net. You can also get discount tickets at any O'Reilly Auto Parts store. Any O'Reilly Auto Parts store, you get discount tickets there, or just buy the tickets at the door. Friday, WWE wrestler Rikishi is going to be on stage signing autographs 4 to 7. Saturday, Kevin Mack from Counts Customs on stage signing autographs. And Sunday, Courtney Hansen from various automotive TV shows will be there signing autographs as well. It's the 55th annual O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wills. We'll be down there Friday as well. We'll tell you more about that as the week goes. But you can see everything worldofwills.net, worldofwills.net.
And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Guys, stay on top of your health with urologycentersalabama.com. 16 locations, great urologists. They've been giving you compassionate, perfect care for over 70 years. In Alabama, the best in the business, according to me. They're my doctors, and I would love for you to swing by there and check them out as well. Guys, stay on top of your health. Early detection there can save your life when it comes to prostate cancer, prostate health, to kidney stones, vasectomies, and everything in between. UrologyCentersAlabama.com. UrologyCentersAlabama.com. An interesting rule passed on Friday that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, but the NCAA has made it legal now for sponsor patches to be on uniforms. So there is no doubt in my mind when we play college football next year that we will have patches on uniforms from sponsors.
Yeah. Well, this was just a matter of time. And I remember when this came to the NBA and I was like, ooh, this is going to feel weird. Now, to be fair, I don't watch a ton of NBA. In fact, I don't know that I've watched a game all year. But when I do see the highlights, they're not like gaudy. They don't jump out at me.
Right.
The Braves, they're sponsored by Quikrete, which shows you I guess the return on investment. Like, I can tell you who the Braves sponsor is on their jersey patch, Quikrete. Now, I don't pour a lot of concrete, Jim, and if I pour a lot of concrete, I don't know that I'm going to be brand specific. Like, I don't know, like Quikrete. Now, that's the best concrete mix out there. But I can tell you who their sponsor is, and so it shows that it's somewhat effective. Look, I don't think you're ever going to get to maybe you will one day, but I don't think initially we're going to get to the European soccer where the entire jersey is a sponsor and you don't even have the team name on there. Like, I'm right about that, right? Like, sometimes there may be a team logo up here, but it's just a sponsor.
Yeah.
It's just a sponsor. So I don't think we're going to get there yet, but I do think it is valuable real estate in an era where every school is looking to maximize every penny. It will be very short order before Alabama and Auburn, and most big SEC schools have a patch, or most, if not all SEC schools, have a patch on their jersey. I think the one thing you've got to be careful about, and I'm sure the schools will do this, that it's going to be priced to the point that you probably aren't going to have to worry about that. There's some brands out there, college football brands, that you've got to be really, really careful which advertisement you've got on your jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it to be some low rent advertiser. You want it to be a solid, quality, high-end advertiser on your jersey.
Well, initially I just thought Mercedes at Alabama, Apple at Auburn, those would be cool logos.
Yeah.
To show up if you got to move to this. And the key is setting the market on how much it's worth. And I want to point out something. This from the Wall Street Journal and Yahoo Sports. The SEC nearly doubled the Big Ten in regular season TV viewership.
Right.
So when you're setting the market for eyeballs that are watching that will see that logo, and I don't know why I keep going the left side. Maybe it's on the right side.
I went left
Maybe
side
it's
too.
right in the middle, but for some reason I would go left side. Can't cover up the Nike swoosh.
No, that's a pretty expensive logo too.
Yeah. But at some point you're going to have, we'll use Mercedes as an example, or Apple or whatever. That means the SEC right now, in my opinion, can charge more for that jersey logo than the Big Ten can, because the viewership was double.
Yeah. So to me, when we start talking about value of this, I know my answer, and I think I know your answer. Which of these three is most valuable to you? Naming rights of the stadium, name on the field, logo on the field, or logo on the shoulder of the jersey?
Logo on the uniform.
Yeah, I agree completely. And because that travels everywhere, like every photo of a SEC team, that logo shows up. Every video highlight of an SEC team, that logo is there. Like, I guess I say Kroger Field. Sometimes I still say Commonwealth Stadium. I guess I say First Bank Stadium. Most of the time I just say so-and-so's playing at Vanderbilt. It's clearly in Vanderbilt Stadium.
Right.
Like, though,
I'd never say the sponsorship if
rarely,
not intentionally.
Yeah.
But it's Commonwealth, it's Vanderbilt Stadium, it's Neyland Stadium, which I think changed this year to Pilot Neyland.
Well, Pilot's on
Stadium
the field. I don't know if they've got stadium naming rights. The only way you ever say the naming rights of the stadium is like in the case of Atlanta, when the day the stadium was built, it was built as Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right.
Like, you don't even say Mercedes-Benz also sponsored, or they used to sponsor the Superdome, or still do, or is it Caesars now? Yeah. But it was Mercedes-Benz, but you never said the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. You just called it the Superdome. That's what it always was when you were growing up.
Yep.
So if you really want naming rights to be effective, it's got to be the day the stadium is built, like AT&T Stadium. It frequently gets called Jerry World, but there's really, if you want to call it, there's no other name for it but AT&T Stadium, because that's what it was the day it was built. So I'm with you. Like, that shoulder patch is going to be the most valuable territory for any school, especially an SEC school.
Yeah, at least in my opinion. At least in my opinion, it will be. And I feel like the market, when Greg Sankey and or the ADs, I guess it'll be done individual school when they're setting the value. Alabama was the most watched team this year. The SEC, the most watched conference, almost by double than the Big Ten, according to the Wall Street Journal. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I wonder what the value is, what the dollar value is for a single season or a 10-year agreement or whatever for a patch on an SEC jersey. Take Alabama, who's the most viewed team. Like, I would love to know, and I could try to find this out, what the evaluation would be for, or what the valuation would be for that jersey.
I'd like to know. I'd also like to know if the rule says, is it one uniform sponsor on every player's jersey? Because to me, a great NIL opportunity, if the rule is not written that way, is for Ryan Williams to have a sponsor.
Yeah.
The quarterback, Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, to have a sponsor. And you could have a variety of different sponsors that are paying directly to that specific player NIL wise.
Yeah,
I don't know if you get more money that way.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you could do both. If Alabama sells Mercedes-Benz, for example, and then Ryan Williams is allowed to put a Topps trading card logo right under that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to start to get cluttered at some point, but I see what you're saying. Like, if that's his deal, I mean, if you've got Boom Boom and he's the only one that's got two of them,
That's right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I not thought of that angle. I mean, Keith says in the chat room, it's going to be as much as they could get. Well, of course it's going to be as much as they could get, but there's going to be a minimum. I mean, you gotta keep value in that spot, but I don't know how much, the Bill Giants, the Submarine, paid Alabama, and I don't know how much Yellowwood paid Auburn. Those numbers are probably out there. I don't have them right off the top of my head. And I don't know if the Submarine people thought that was beneficial to them. I always assume Yellowwood, he really doesn't care if he sells another piece of lumber from his advertising with Auburn. He's just doing that because he loves Auburn and is pouring money into it, right? I mean, isn't that always your assumption with Yellowwood?
Yeah. What do we need to pay for this?
That's right. Yeah. Are we going to sell more lumber? Probably not. I don't really know, but I love Auburn and I want to financially support Auburn. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what a number would be, but I'm just thinking right here, Alabama played, 13, 14, 15 games this year. Is that right?
Yep.
Is it $2 million a game? I was $30 million. I mean, $30 million in a single season would change a lot of math for Alabama. Even if it's $1 million, and maybe I'm way high on this number. I don't know. I mean,
it does seem high, but
okay.
I like where you're thinking.
All right. Well, if it's half
a game,
if it's $500,000 a game, if it's 500. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing these numbers out.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama gets a lot of eyeballs, and a national brand on Alabama's jersey, that's gonna, gonna get a lot of eyeballs. I mean, if it's,
I pictured it being sold flat rate.
Yeah.
Instead of okay, here's 500,000 for the Mercer game.
Oh yeah. It'll be a season long, I would think.
Yeah, here's $5 million though for the Rose Bowl. Though it would be worth it that way, right? Rose Bowl's one of the most watched games in the world.
That's right.
If you're playing in that one, or if you're playing in the national championship game, it'd be interesting to see the way they do it.
Yeah.
And how creative they can be. I don't know how strictly the rule was written there, but the jersey patches have been improved. Halfway through the show, or at least 90 minutes into the show, brought to you by our friends at Bojangles. Before you tell me about Bojangles, do we know a time we're expecting LT to join us today?
I was texting with him last night, and he said he's available the entire show. I don't know if he was. So here, I'll just pull back the curtain. Here's what we were dealing with, obviously.
Give me Bojangles first, and then I want to talk about this.
And then pull back the curtain. Bojangles. You can make bow time at Bojangles right now. Go grab a great lunch from our friends at Bojangles. Warm you up on this cold day. A hearty scoop of dirty rice, a spoonful of slow-cooked Cajun pintos, a layer of melty cheese, and finally, your choice of chicken. It is hot. It is hearty. It is all yours. For just $7.49, it is the Bojangles Chicken and Rice Bowl, back for a limited time at Bojangles. So hurry on over to your local Bojangles. The drive-thru is always open. So when you're hungry, you know where to go. Bojangles, and make it bow time.
Okay, let's pull back the curtain before I reset the big stories. And LT will join us at some point today for a quick hit. I told you initially, tell him not to do the whole show. And this was before the game even started. I was like, just do one hit so you can sleep in, because it
Yeah.
is still just 8:30 in Seattle right now. We've been doing this show for 90 minutes. Why get up so early? Just do one hit. We'll talk NFL whenever you do the one hit with us. That was when I thought the Rams were going to win.
Well, I think the issue becomes travel. As you pointed out in our group text yesterday, what was the text you sent? Do you have that in front of you?
Yesterday, in the middle of the day, there were 10,100 flight cancellations, the most in a single day since the pandemic had kicked in.
Yeah. And Lance already has travel anxiety, and that only adds, or flight anxiety, I guess. That only adds to your anxiety of like, am I ever going to be able to get out of Seattle and back to Birmingham at some point? So I don't know. I don't know today if he was trying to scramble maybe to move a flight or something like that, or maybe was forced to move a flight. So yeah, I did text him last night, and he was like, "Hey, I'm wide open." So at least that was the case yesterday. But you wake up today in the cold hard reality of what our flight situation looks like right now, because this ice storm, man. I don't know, Jim, if you've seen some of the videos, the photos. This has been a brutal storm.
Yeah,
through Middle America. Nashville looks crazy.
Yeah, trees and the ice that hits us in the south, devastating a lot of places in Nashville and that area, with power outages hitting in the Nashville metro area, closer to 1 million outages. I've got friends that live in Ohio, and their video they were posting, for grown adults, the snowfall was up mid, for 6'1" guy was up mid chest as he was shoveling out off his driveway and his sidewalk. So
Yeah.
the kids could at least get out and play a little bit in it. But your kids are so small, you could lose them in the snow over there. They could fall in the snow. So it is bad. Our thoughts and prayers with everyone around the country dealing with a variety of different things. It's just been a crazy weekend. So LT will join us at some point, and for a quick hit on what we saw yesterday in Seattle. But with the Seahawks and the Patriots now ready to play the Super Bowl, just to reset our top stories again, we had Stephen Pearl on earlier. He joined us live today to start the show. But Brownie, if you can give me cut number 2, Stephen Pearl on Auburn's win at Florida, huge for Auburn, 76-67. I think I'm right about this. I think Condon, a big graduate of professional basketball in Australia and national championship winner at Florida. Jimmy Bama there throwing that in for the Bediako side. But Condon, who played professionally there, semi-pro ball in Australia, and has played at Florida for a few years. I think Auburn held him, am I right about this, to 1 point? He had 1 point in the game. Is that possible?
It's possible. I'll have to go confirm, but
yeah, on my notes, I had him at 1 point.
Yeah, that would be his worst game at Florida, I would say.
Yeah, but Stephen Pearl and Auburn went in there, got the win. Here's what Stephen had to say after the win in Gainesville.
They tie the game with 7:50 left, and that's an eternity in college basketball, especially on the road. They had all the momentum in the world, and we got into a timeout, and we were like, you guys, if I were to tell you that with 7 minutes and 50 seconds left, we're going to be tied against one of the best teams in college basketball on the road, would you take it? And they're like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go. And they did a great job of responding, and we did it. We hit back, and we went on I think I told them, I said we were going to be up 5 at the next media, and we got up 6. So our guys just responded and did a great job of taking that team's punch. 3 weeks ago, our team would have folded and let all that pressure get to us, and our team did a great job of hanging in there and staying together.
And as Stephen was saying on our show, but now you have to come back down, and on Wednesday you play host to Texas, who seems to be figuring it out, and then you're on the road at Tennessee, so that's life in the SEC. We talked Alabama a lot earlier in the Charles Bediako situation, Alabama losing to Tennessee, big win for Rick Barnes and company, and Charles Bediako's next court case is tomorrow in Tuscaloosa, unless that gets changed because of the weather.
Yeah, and real quick, by the way, don't mean to interrupt, 1.9 boards for Condon. As Scott points out in the chat, 37 minutes Condon plays. It's not like he played 20 minutes and had a point. 37 minutes. The guy's out there all but 3 minutes of the game and scored 1 point. That's crazy.
1 point.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Crazy.
But he doesn't do that all the rest of the year. I bet there's not another team that holds him to 1 in 37 minutes.
Alabama plays Charles Bediako but loses the game. Alabama plays host to Missouri, and then they go play at Florida coming up this weekend. So that's the week ahead for Alabama. And then there was the NFL, where you get the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos playing each other. And Jarrett Stidham starting off playing so well. But I'd love your take on Sean Payton not taking the field goal, which would have made it 10-0. It was a chippy and the weather was still good. And then still, if Stidham doesn't fumble trying to do too much, I still think they win the football game.
Probably so. And it's easy to look back and say, well, all right, your worst case is overtime if you take the field goal. Watching in real time, I thought there's no way you go for this with a backup quarterback. And I saw an excellent discussion this morning, Dunaway, on Wake Up Barstool. I had it on this morning, and Gruden and Greg Olson were on there. And Greg Olson's like, we are so because Gruden said, look, you can go for it and just come back and blame the analytics. That's the world we live in. As you go for that and you come back and you blame the analytics. And Olson's like, we are so geared to just say, well, the analytics say go for it there. He goes, the analytics, I've looked at them, actually say kick right there. He's like, yep. Sean Payton was going against the numbers to not kick. And then the huge debate was, how do you not take points if you know that weather is coming? And they all discussed, and I don't know if you were aware of it, but they were talking about how Jim Nance said, you know, we might have flurries. I don't know how aware everyone was that the weather was going to get as bad as it got. If Sean Payton had his people telling him, hey, second half, it is going to be dicey weather, and he didn't take points there, that seems crazy to me.
I would tell you that Nick Saban, in my time of doing the Nick Saban show, would have a forecast.
Oh, yeah.
To know exactly, as best they could, to the minute on the real clock and approximation of the game clock of when rain would start, how heavy the rain would be at a certain part of the game, if winds were going to change. I'm not saying he called the U.S. Naval Weather Center, but maybe he did.
Well, and maybe they just missed the forecast. I don't know. I never saw anything that said there was going to be a blizzard in the second half, but that's exactly what they had. And then now you're down 10-7, and New England knows they can't move the football. New England, it was like 3 runs and a punt for them every time, because all they wanted to do was give it back to Stidham, because Stidham was completely ineffective once the snow started.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't understand in real time. That's not hindsight, in real time. And I don't know if you felt the same way. I did not understand not taking the 3 points there, especially if you got Bo Nix, maybe, but with a backup quarterback, you go up 10-0 right there. Why would you not? Why would you not?
With your defense. Hey, can you give me cut 11?
Yep.
Here's Mike Vrabel. As by the way, both Mikes beat both Seans this weekend. Mike Vrabel on getting the Patriots back to the Super Bowl for the 12th time in franchise history, but in his first year as the coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why you have to do this. It's you have to believe things sometimes before you can see them. And you have to believe that what you're doing is the right thing. And if it's not, you have to recognize it and make adjustments and changes to the program and everything else. And, you know, we got a great group of guys, and they continue to, again, believe in the things that we did, and they formed and created an identity, and they try to protect it. And then today was just another example of, as things kind of change and unfold, our ability to adjust. And, you know, Josh and Zach and Jeremy did a great job leading their units, and the players executed when they had to. And I know that there's going to be a lot of questions about this and that and the other thing, and, you know, we did enough to win the football game in tough conditions.
Yeah, it was tough conditions for both sides.
Yeah, and in that same interview, Greg Olson was just effusive of his praise of Mike Vrabel and how well he manages game situations. And one thing he pointed out was Sean Payton trying to do the late subs, and he's like, Vrabel is so good at the slow substitution to maximize the clock running. And he's like, just every single game management situation, Vrabel is elite in his handling of it. And I thought it was just great praise from Greg Olson, and it showed, like, Sean Payton's a Super Bowl winning coach. Mike Vrabel is not, but I felt like Mike Vrabel outcoached him in that game.
And then there was the game that we'll talk to Lance about where Seattle beats the Rams 31-27. Sam Darnold, a 122 passer rating in the playoffs. Just amazing. The punt fumble was huge. But Sam Darnold now becomes the first, and I'll need cut 12, Brown. He becomes the first quarterback from the 2018 draft class to reach the Super Bowl. In that draft class, my buddy Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. But Sam Darnold is the first one to get to the Super Bowl. Here's Darnold on that fact.
Sam, you were the first quarterback from your draft class. The draft class that includes Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield. You're the first one to make it to a Super Bowl. What does that mean to you personally?
Yeah, I actually made it in 23 as well when I was in San Francisco. So, no, I'm just messing with you. No, it's unbelievable, man. Just obviously those are great players, but just it's more so the team. Just the hard work that we've put in throughout this season, OTA's training camp. I talk about it a lot, but and I know every team works really hard in that off season when we're just working together. But to be able to go against that defense every single day, that got us better as an offense, and I know they could say the same thing about us. So we take it day by day, and that's the beauty about this team and these guys in that locker room, this coaching staff is. We're going to celebrate tonight. We're going to celebrate tomorrow in the meeting, and then we're going to move on, and everyone's going to look to see how they can get better for this game coming up in a couple weeks.
So we'll talk about that game. I want to save the discussion about it when Lance joins us because we'll get into that a ton. But go ahead and make a point.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's just crazy that this is going to be Sam Darnold and Drake May in a Super Bowl. And I don't know if you're aware of this, with their great history, it's been pointed out in the chat room, and I saw it this morning, with their great football history, this is the first Southern Cal quarterback, first USC quarterback to ever quarterback a Super Bowl. That's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So we'll
Lance I think Lance is about to jump on with us. He just texted me. So I think we'll have him in a minute.
We'll get him to jump on. While we do that, we'll tell you about a couple of our great sponsors. One of them is our buddy Alexander Shinara, Brownie.
Alexander Shinara Trial Attorneys. I mentioned that Alexander Shinara was the guy that has recovered more than $2 billion for his clients, $2 billion. And he has done that by staying true to just a few simple principles that he has lived his life by and run his business by. And it is the reason he will tell you that they've recovered this kind of money. Core values: integrity, mastery, passion, and success. So he wanted to create a firm that could handle any issue his community faced. He's done that. They handle not only personal injury claims, but claims for fire and storm damage, bad drug and device claims, disability, workers' compensation, and a host of other claims. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, Shinara.com, Shinara.com. You don't pay a dime unless they win your case at Shinara.com.
And our friends, of course, at Hemp Hill Services. Since 1954, the name Birmingham is trusted for all your heating and cooling and plumbing needs. And I tell you all the time about our friends at Hemp Hill, where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they've got an emergency line you can call. So it could be Sunday at midnight or Saturday at 4 in the morning. If you've got something that's not running right, flowing right, or draining right, Hemp Hill will come out and take care of it for you. Terrific people, trustworthy, and the best in the business. It's our friends at Hemp Hill. They bring you Lance's Lock every day. Lance'sLock.com for plays tonight on big basketball games like Louisville and Duke, Arizona and BYU, the NBA, and a lot more.
We're going to get an audio-only visit from Lance here. That's how bad it's gotten. That's how bad it's gotten out there in Seattle. Lance, first of all, welcome in, and it was an incredible game. I know it was painful. I know how much you pour into this, but I hope at some point you're able to step back and say, man, I attended an incredible football game.
Yeah, look, great experience, great venue, very, very passionate fan base. Yeah, really, really tough game. And I'm just so pathetic. Like, I don't know how many times I got up in the middle of the night, just, going back, looking at the box score, trying to figure out what went wrong. When you're in the perspective of being in the stands, you don't see a lot of things. And I texted you a couple of times after the game, like the Cooper Cup first down. I mean, and that was the difference of the game. You know, the Xavier Smith, obviously, muffed punt, but the third down conversions from Seattle. And like, I went back and just looked and, trying to figure out what went wrong. And I don't know, man, two great teams and just unfortunate one's not going to be in the Super Bowl, but here we are.
Yeah. And Sam Darnold, but I don't even want to go there first. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh my gosh.
Ability to get open. That may have been the first full Seahawks game I've watched this year. I don't know if I've seen them start to finish. I was on the golf course when my Buccaneers beat them somehow. I think Tampa Bay actually beat them this year. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but I think so. That Smith and Jigba guy, his route running, his ability to get open was unreal yesterday, especially in the first half.
Yeah. He led the league in receiving yards and Puka was right behind him. And it's funny because there is a lot of difference when you look at Smith and Jigba always seems to find these open pockets and, Puka's always in, it just contested catches after contested catch, but he was fantastic. Back to Darnold. I know you were bringing him up. That first throw to Rashid Shaheed on the sideline, one of the most beautiful throws you will see. It was really weird because I'm not exaggerating this. There was probably only like 500 or 600 Rams fans in the entire venue. It was 100-1 Seattle fans, but I happened to have a Rams fan sitting to my right.
Oh, wow.
Guy from Long Beach. And, right after that throw, he was like, that was a Stafford throw. But, Darnold played like that. And that's what's so amazing. Like, you go back to Darnold a couple of years ago, and that was the bridge to get to a Super Bowl was Matt Stafford needing to outduel him. And both quarterbacks played incredibly. But I just can't believe Darnold didn't make one mistake. Not one.
He played exceptional. I tell you where I thought you guys were going to win the game was when the knucklehead Seattle defender. I don't know if you could see it from where you were sitting, Lance. He goes like 30 yards down your sideline chirping.
Yeah, I couldn't see any of it. And, we thought, the Rams were off the field. And, at that point, down 11, I'm like, damn, this game's over. And then they gifted that. And I think everybody in the stadium was shocked because nobody really saw what was going on.
Well,
He went all the way down the sidelines and then actually went into the white, it looked like, and got into a couple of coaches' faces. And then for McVay to dial it up and throw right at him.
I loved it.
Loved it. A touchdown. I tweeted, I said, I would send 27 to the locker room right now because he'll never be the same again. I would have sent him to the locker room because mentally he was done. And the rest of the team were chewing his butt out on the sideline when they got there after the touchdown.
Yeah. After the call was made and then after, the Puka touchdown, me and my new friend, Michael, I was like, I think we might have this. Like if we can somehow get Darnold off the field, and they did. And, Stafford takes him right down. And that was another thing I wanted to ask you guys, because I haven't seen the play yet on the 4th and 4. And they should have gone for it. There's some people like, I should have taken the points there. I thought he should have gone for it. But on the 4th and 4, where he throws to the back of the end zone incomplete, I was told from somebody that Stafford could have run for the first down. Now, Stafford probably runs a 5.40 right now. But was that a possibility from y'all's perspective?
Yes.
Yeah. But I never watched him thinking he should run either. So, but he had already run for one first down on that drive.
If he could have outrun anybody in pursuit of him, it was open for a run. I texted Brown instantly when I forget how early in the game it was.
It was the first touchdown of the second half, I think.
Yeah, I said I'm surprised he did not go for 2 there to make it a 3-point game, and Brown was like, "Ooh, way too early for that." And
But at some point, they kept scoring. So at some point,
what the Puka touchdown, like back going after Wooten, that cut it to that would have cut it to 3. So that was, I guess, the final they scored. But that's when I thought he should have gone for the 2.
Yeah.
No, I would have done it earlier because, like everybody says, then I know if I miss it, I'm down 5, right?
I coach different,
and down instead of down 3, and I felt like it was like 3 plays. You drove down the field and scored in 3 plays or 5 plays. There was something right then. I was like, man, you just breezed down the field right there. Their defense is their heads spinning. I would run my best 2-point play right here and cut this thing to 3 right then and get this back to a 1-possession game. But it was a fantastic football game, and I know it hurts for you, because now, I mean, the first headline I saw when I started doing show notes today was that Matt Stafford's last game, and you're in that close with the program. Do you think he comes back, or?
Dunaway, it's I don't know, and that's what me and my new friend were talking about. I was like, man, we've got to enjoy this, because this is maybe the last time we'll ever see number 9. I get really concerned because his wife Kelly and their daughters have been traveling to all these away games, and I just don't remember that in the past. So obviously they want to be there for his final game, and I think it's going to be a decision that he's going to have to make. And do you want to come back and put all that time in at 38? And he's going to win the MVP. I know Drake May's in the Super Bowl, but Stafford's going to win the MVP. You can just tell with the buzz. I mean, that's a hell of a way to go out. You get to an NFC Championship game, you win an MVP, and one of these years, talent-wise, it's got to start declining. And he is just playing. Somebody texted me yesterday. He's playing like a 25-year-old. Yeah. But I don't know if he can continue it. I hope he does. Because there is going to be such a massive drop-off at quarterback. In my opinion, best quarterback that has ever worn a Rams uniform, and there's a lot of great ones throughout the years. But, I don't know where they go now, and this is going to be difficult for them to get back to this spot.
Yeah, I personally thought, as I was watching the pregame, I was like, man, if they win the Super Bowl, does Sean McVay walk away too? Like Stafford and McVay at the same time, if you win the Super Bowl, because he seemed to be, I don't know what else he would do though. He seemed to be so fired up in pregame before that. And they, the interviews with him and the pregame hype, I know you didn't see it, but they were talking about go in, don't play scared. People in Seattle always, when they play at Seattle, they play scared. I don't want you to play
have
scared.
Courage. Courage is their buzzword.
I want you to have courage. And
yeah.
He just seemed so fired up. And I was like, God, he's the kind of guy one day you could see doing the broadcast. And
we had that conversation, and I just don't know, he's so young. I just don't know if that would do enough for him. He's just a guy that is so immersed in football, and I think he absolutely loves it, relates so well to the players. So that'd be tragic for the Rams if he was to take off. I do want to say this, man. And this is our buddy Brock texted me. Of course, he's in a suite. He sent me a text, and he's like, I really want you to tell me if you've ever been in a venue this loud. And I think it was not even close, much louder than Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night.
Whoa.
It's
much louder.
It's insane. Yeah, the guys next to me, they, like the majority of diehard Seattle fans have earplugs. They bring earplugs to the game, which I think is kind of soft, but man, it was crazy ass loud. Like I can't overemphasize. And it's eerie how quiet it gets when, they've got the football.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really smart fan base, but I mean, it's like you could hear a pin drop when they've got the football, but on the other side, my gosh, like it is, I thought there would be a little exaggeration, but there was no exaggeration.
So how much of that is like music and that kind of stuff, or is it real crowd noise?
It's real crowd. Now, the architect might have something to do with it, the way that layout is. But you look around, and they had these little green towels they gave out. Of course, gave mine away to whoever was in front of me. But like everybody in sync, man. Like there wasn't one person that wasn't swinging those damn things, and they were screaming at the top of their lungs. So again, the structure might have something to do with it at Lumen, but boy, those fans, man, they are in sync and they scream the entire time. And I had a couple of fans try to bait me a couple of times. I was very, very controlled. I only had to get in one guy's face.
But you did get in his face.
Well, why'd you get in his face? What'd he do?
I just had some comments for me and Maddie. It just Rams fans. So but the funny there was two different situations, and this is Orlowski told us they were the nicest fans, and look, I was doing everything I could not to get baited, but this one guy said something really inappropriate. So Maddie snapped at him first, but then I sadly got in his face, and he was like, "Hey man, I was just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." This is like this is like a 45-year-old man. And then I'm walking out of the bathroom, and the game had just gone all zeros, and this guy is screaming Seahawks, and he kind of shouts in my face, and then he immediately goes, "Hey man, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm like, I never see this in the SEC. Apologies. Like,
no, that's true. Yeah, it normally ends up in a fight in the SEC.
Yeah, so they really, really nice fans, and the whole city's behind it. And I've got a fraternity brother of mine that's lived up here for 15 years, and I've been hanging out with him the last couple of days, and he said the Mariners' run to the ALCS was the most galvanized he's ever seen this community, even more so than when they won the Super Bowl back in 2014. So it's a great sports town. I still can't believe that the Sonics are no longer here, but really, really cool place. Most expensive city I've ever been to. Not even close. More than Miami, more than New York. Oh yeah, I got to tell you guys this, and I'm not exaggerating. On Saturday, lunch at a sandwich shop. Me, Maddie, my buddy Wade, and then just me and Maddie for dinner. 2 meals, $700.
What? And one of them was a sandwich shop?
Yeah, not exaggerating. Yeah, my sandwich shop lunch was $200.
What was it a good sandwich?
Yeah, I mean, he got like a salmon BLT was their special, and then we got the Cuban. It was fantastic Cuban. Then chowder, but her Diet Coke's $7. They've got a sugar charge in Seattle.
What's the Diet Coke? It ought to be less. There's no sugar.
Yeah, right. But I'm not exaggerating. They really they've got all of their alcohol. I mean, it's a fantastic city, just the layout, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I never had, I assumed it was a top 15 market, but I just didn't realize, how populated this place was. And it's very strange too, because it's a very early to bed town. Like when we got in on Thursday night around midnight, the downtown was completely empty. And I was just thinking to myself, if you're in Birmingham and Lakeview, midnight on a Thursday night, it's completely packed out. Yeah. This town just shuts down really early, and I've bought in, man. I've been in bed in the hotel at 9 o'clock at night the last 2 nights.
So straight back to the hotel after the loss. Went
to the hotel. Well, I went to a dispensary. Sean Kemp's got a bunch out here. And it was so funny because I was talking to the Uber driver yesterday about Sean Kemp, and I was like, I think he's got like 20 kids. So I had to Google it. He's actually got 11 from 9 different women. But those dispensaries, I guess, are helping pay for that. But dispensaries everywhere. Went by the dispensary, came to the hotel bar, ate dinner there, and then, shut it down. And like literally haven't outside of my phone, I haven't seen any shows, any recaps, any highlights, was Puka almost out of bounds on that final play? Not that they would have, completed that experience.
His Dunaway, I would say
it was bang bang.
His butt hit.
Stopping the clock, yeah. I mean, it was bang bang. His butt hit right before, the rest of them were out of bounds.
Yeah. It was his butt. His butt is clear in the green. It hit clear in the green. I mean, it was not
close.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear, guys like Kobe Bryant always talked about they love playing on the road. And I just, for a minute had that one visual of a Hail Mary, how hyped that place was. And I just can't imagine if they would have lost that game, like what their reaction would have been like.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Thought for a minute we're going to get it. Yeah.
Can you stay with us for just a little bit longer?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
For one other thing I want to get your reaction to. It's not going to surprise you. I just want to get your reaction to it. The show being brought to you by a couple of great folks. One of them is Woodhouse, LT. And I know when you guys get back, you're going to be so stressed out from travel. Woodhouse would be a great place for you to go hang out.
Yeah, hey, the gift of relaxation from our friends at the Woodhouse Day Spa, voted America's best day spa since 2007, conveniently located at the Summit Shopping Centers. Beautifully renovated new location. Make sure you stop in, tell Stuart and the great staff the next round sent you, but you can choose from a menu of over 70 options. The body massages, the waxing, the nail services. Go to birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Less than a month away from Valentine's. Order 24/7 online. They'll ship it right to you, our friends at the Woodhouse Day Spa.
And Brownie, if I gave you this signal in the studio, what spot would you go?
That's going to be Culver's, Jimmy D. Sounds like a good place for lunch today. Our friends at Culver's, Welcome to Delicious when you head to Culver's, and they can be the great spot for you to go celebrate any win or forget about the loss from those juicy butter burgers they've got right there, to the creamy custard and those crispy crinkle cut fries, those golden cheese curds, all right there with our friends at Culver's. Stadium Trace and Tattersall Park, Culver's. When you're in Birmingham, that's a great place to go to celebrate or just forget the loss. You can do it right there at Culver's. Welcome to Delicious.
And before LT leaves, hold on. Before LT leaves, this hour of the show brought to you by Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. It is 11 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock on the West Coast where LT is. And Champy's Chicken is open for lunch today, dinner tonight, and for the Super Bowl, get Champy's Chicken. It's all right there. Highway 119 in Alabaster. Go by and see Sterling and the crew. Go ahead, LT.
No, I was just going to ask you guys. Obviously, y'all are not in studio because of the weather, and I was really torn. Like I'd already booked everything up, but I didn't want to leave the dogs because I talked to my vet, and he was like, "If it ices, I'm actually in Mexico right now, so I'm the only guy that's got a 4-wheel drive. So we are kind of rolling the dice on the dogs, and so I had to get house sitters. So Bullet and Chili are at home, which is good, but like, how bad is the situation there?"
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, it was, we were cautious. And all the schools are out, which is one reason we're doing this. All the schools are out. But from what I can gather from texts I've gotten from people, the roads are just fine, which is good. That's the way I want it.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. The roads are fine. It's just, I mean,
In
full
Birmingham.
disclosure for our staff, they're, we're all great parents and husbands and things like that. There were things that made it work to where we couldn't have enough people to go up to the studio and do the show without people being put out. So we decided to do it this way. So it works out best this way.
Yeah, I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
Just an hour and a half north to Huntsville and Nashville is horrible. And I sent you the text of the flights that were canceled yesterday. I would imagine it's another day like that of cancellations around the country. And you had not planned on flying until tomorrow anyway, right?
Yeah. Midday tomorrow. So we should be clear.
Yeah. Unless, all the backups and all that. So good luck on that. Well, we'll plan on seeing you at least by next Monday.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I've got a really good rate on a really cool boutique hotel downtown, but I don't think I could afford to stay here unless I was, freaking going down to the commissary and getting their mac and cheese.
Yeah, but I believe in this now. So if you get an offer that is not life changing, but that could get you and Maddie another trip, free of charge by giving up your seat for someone else, feel free to stay and do that tomorrow if you get to the airport, because a free trip,
Free trip. Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you this, speaking of trips, I am, and I've kind of, I hinted at this with Brown about a month or so ago. If Stafford comes back, I am going to do everything in my power to go to every single Rams game next year. I really am.
It's a guy that hates to fly, Dunaway. He's going to go to every Rams game next year.
I'm going to document it. I'm going to really restart the We Are Rambly podcast, and I'm going to get after it one final year if in fact he comes back.
All right. It's a gambling thing that Peter Burns sent out. I just wanted to get your reaction to this. You know all this already, LT, because AtlantisLock.com. But this was sent out. Peter's the one that I saw it on, but somebody else sent it. Gambling trends from the 2025 college football season. And this is FBS versus FBS games only. All right. FBS versus FBS games only. Take out the FCS or any of that stuff. Group of fives. FBS versus FBS. Home teams were 372, 357, and 9 against the spread. 51%. If you're doing books, that's a sweet spot, right?
Yeah, 51% is going to lose you money. 52 is the threshold. But yeah, that's right around a break-even point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the number they put out there. So against the spread, Vegas threw the number out there, and it was 51% of the home teams against the spread. Yep. Favorites were 404, 395, and 9, 50.6%. They're pretty good at setting these lines.
It's freaking amazing.
Home favorites, 232, 222, and 4, 51.2%. Home dogs, 139, 135, and 5, 50.7%. So the wildest out of whack one was 52.2%, which was home favorites. Unders, 834, 778, and 4, 51.7%.
Wow.
Unders in conference play, 550, 548, and 2, almost 50%, 50.1%. And unders in non-conference play is actually where your best, wildest scenario is, where I guess the house is most exposed. 284, 232 at 55.3%. That's what you're going up against as you gamble right there.
Look.
That's pretty split, isn't it?
Well, it's pretty split, and everybody's got, you know, these different algorithms, just like casual players, and I mean, it's gotten so detailed and technical, but that is really, really amazing. And back to the numbers, you know, watching the Broncos and Stidham gift the Patriots that touchdown yesterday. You know, if the Broncos win that game, and really it's good for the NFL they didn't, because I think 2 weeks to really absorb Jared Stidham, I think that game would be an absolute blowout, whether it was the Rams or the Seahawks. That number probably would have come at like 8.5. I know Seattle opened at 3.5. It's up to 4.5. But good thing the Broncos didn't get in.
Yeah. See, I agree with you. I think that would have been after you all week long, not knowing what he was able to do and how Sean Payton would call it, left a little bit of surprise and all of that for Sean Payton. Having seen him play in one game, what he was limited to do, and Sean Payton pulling out all the stops, would have been a disaster in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I really think Seattle or LA wins the game by 35 points. Like, it's like one of those old school 90s Super Bowl. I'm being serious. As good as that Denver defense is, but you know, Stafford, you saw what he did to the number one defense yesterday. I do think New England's going to be able to play with Seattle. Like, I will be shocked if Darnold can have back-to-back games like that.
Yeah, that would be surprising. That would be surprising. And I told Dunaway the stat too. First ever USC quarterback to start a Super Bowl. Isn't that crazy to think about?
It's insane.
Yeah.
That is crazy. All right. Safe travels. Enjoy your final full day in Seattle, or your next to last day, or your next to last day, however travel ends up being.
However it works.
Home. Yeah, enjoy it. I mean, if it gets so bad, just take a train down to LA.
Well, you know, we were actually going to take a train to Portland today. There's a 2 trains that go out, and you know, everybody around here is like, it's a pretty quick trip. And then I checked, it's like a 3-hour train trip, and I'm like, hey. But we are.
No, our friend Abby Chen used to do that when she worked in Portland. Her boyfriend, now husband, worked in Seattle, and she says it's a great trip, easy trip right up the coast.
Yeah, like you know, and you can get these little puddle jumpers, you know, the water planes, $45 to take you to Vancouver. So thought about doing that. We've just got a car today. We're just going to drive to the outskirts of the Pacific Northwest and just kind of check things out.
Okay.
All right.
Well, be careful. We'll look forward to seeing you whenever we see you.
I will, boys. Y'all be good.
All right. See you. Sorry about the loss. Sorry.
Sorry about the Rams.
Sorry about the Rams. Yeah.
That is the show being brought to you today by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision. Brownie, tell us about Michelson.
969-8100, MichelsonLaserVision.com. Doctors Mark and Jennifer Michelson. That is a father and daughter duo, and they do tremendous work. In fact, they're like national worldwide pioneers in the field of LASIK surgery, and they can help you see better in 2026, better vision in 2026. Wouldn't you love that? Well, you can get it right now at Michelson Laser Vision. Go get that consultation from Doctors Mark and Jennifer Michelson and see if LASIK is right for you. Here's how you do it. You just call Amy, 969-8100. Tell her, I heard it on the next round. I want that distance vision. I want my LASIK surgery for 2026. She'll get you set up. You'll come talk to the Michelsons and see if it is right for you. Michelson Laser Vision, 969-8100, MichelsonLaserVision.com.
All right. So we've rolled through everything that we wanted to get to today, but it was a really eventful weekend. Big win for Auburn, and Charles Bediako playing for Bama. I still think if this Alabama team with Bediako gets healthy, they can be dangerous in March and for the rest of the SEC race. And then the NFL, The Super Bowl is set, Seahawks and Patriots. Thanks for joining us today, commercial free for just over 2 hours nonstop. We'll be back with you in studio tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time, and we will update you again on maybe a new offensive line coach at Alabama, more portal news, and maybe part 2 of Dabo versus Pete Golding. Pete Golding at some point will have to say something back. All that still to come, but that's our show today. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.